This list will probably change the second I've written it, so don't take this as the... Hey, excuse me. Was that on that whole last time? That's fucking annoying. I hate ranking things. I hate giving things numerical values. I understand that sometimes people just need a quick look to see if something's worth checking out, but what does the number really tell you? However, there is something inherently fun about attempting to organise your thoughts into tiers, so alas, here I am creating a list of my 30 favourite things from 2022 that I think you should check out. This list will probably change the second I've recorded this, so don't take it as a be-all end-all, it's just a mishmash of things I really liked. Oh, and by the way, this is actually part 2 of 2 videos that were supposed to be this massive single project that got a bit beyond my scope, so if you'd like to see my thoughts on absolutely everything I consumed last year, you can check that out right here. Spoilers for that video, it was quite a lot of things. And if you've already seen that one, welcome back, and let's get into this. Before we get to my favourite things of 2022, there are a handful of things I just never got around to this year. So, listen out before you get mad I didn't bring them up later. I'll speed through these, but I'm really just bringing things up that I think might have made an impact on this list one way or another. So, here are some things I missed out. Well, here we are. I hate doing it, but I'm gonna do a little list for you guys. 30 things. Lists are fucking stupid anyway, but hey, they're fun to do. So without further ado, here are some of my favourite things from 2022. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. One of those movies that has no right being as good as it is. Puss in Boots is fun for everyone, and I bawled my eyes out like 4 times. This is one of those movies that you will find entertainment with no matter how many times you see it. Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. The first time a Lego game feels different since they introduced open worlds, and it looks phenomenal. The Skywalker Saga just really appreciates all the movies it's based on, and I'm glad they kept the physical humour that made the originals so hilarious. Love, Death and Robots Volume 3. The best volume yet. Season 3 found the sweet spot for the number of episodes and diversity of content. Love, Death and Robots is a stellar achievement that I hope continues forever to showcase and appreciate the medium of animation. And also sci-fi is pretty cool. Pinocchio, Del Toro's one. After the shit show that was the other one, it's crazy how unique this one feels, and not just because of the stop motion. A love letter to the original with its own twists and turns. So much care was put into it, and you can just feel it. Muru, a raw experience that highlights injustices still happening in Aotearoa this century. Tense, real, and a great depiction of what a police officer should look like. It's time people hear our stories and what we have to say about them. The Candy House by Jennifer Egan. I love a good anthology. Each new story adds such unique life into this book, and the prose keeps you glued to the page. Such unique characters and thought-provoking insights based off an interesting sci-fi concept. Weird West. A game about running around the Weird West looting and shooting, but with some really solid intrigue and writing? Sign me up. Even just one of the characters would service a full game, but 5? Weird West just feels incredibly complete. Paradise Again, Swedish House Mafia. Every track on this album slaps, and I wished I jumped aboard the Swedish House Mafia waka sooner. A groove like no other. A Plague Tale Requiem. While there isn't a whole lot new in the sequel, Requiem is written exceptionally, looks gorgeous, and refines its gameplay from the first. Just beware a few bugs. I look forward to whatever endeavour the devs take on after this. Barry Season 3. It's crazy how low this ended up being considering it's one of my favourite shows of all time. The third season does everything you expect this dark comedy to do, with action that you can't find anywhere else. Avatar: The Way of Water isn't a bad movie. There's certainly entertainment to be had. There's just nothing original here. You've seen this movie done better 100 times. It even just repeats beats from the first film. A gorgeous spectacle and an achievement in visual effects, but a hollow story that does a disservice to the native cultures it clearly draws inspiration from. There's an irony there for sure. Thor: Love and Thunder, I think, has too much Taika in it, which is not a thing I thought I'd hear myself say. Everything here feels like someone throwing buckets of paint at the screen. Christian Bale could have saved this film had his character been utilised better. It wouldn't come as a shock that a Marvel film is on here, but I wasn't expecting it to be this one. I really hoped this would pull me back into the MCU. It didn't. The Book of Boba Fett sucks. It's not a very good descriptor, but it just does. From the characterization of Boba Fett bouncing back and forth, to him being excluded from his own show, every episode got worse and worse. Like most Disney Cinematic Universe stuff, the show only cares about its key moments and getting you to watch the next thing. Cad fucking Bane couldn't even save this show. Cad fucking Bane. What? It's Morbin time. It might have been the reason I ended up actually watching Morbius. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's just painfully average. It certainly feels like the movie thinks it's the next Iron Man or Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, yet fails in every conceivable way to make it stand out amongst the other cape shit. I love how we got both the best and worst Pinocchio film this year. I don't know what else to say. This film was such a chore. An utter bore. An absolute slog to get through. And even Tom Hanks bored me. What's going on with him? What went on with him in 2022, man? Visually uninspired and creatively bankrupt, this is the epitome of my issues with live-action Disney remakes. All Quiet on the Western Front. It's nice when a war film actually is anti-war. And All Quiet on the Western Front might be the only one of its kind I've seen for years. Hopeless, the way it should be. Slow, depressing, and thought-provoking. The film comes together so nicely. Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope. How did a Mario Rabbids game become one of the best turn-based tactical shooters I've ever played? Actually, one of the best games I played all year. The sequel builds off the first game in all the ways it should. There's really never a dull moment here. Fire of Love. Such a beautiful look into the story of a couple bound by their love for volcanoes and the legacy they've left behind, and the documentary takes you through every emotion as you watch their rise and fall. Time Isn't Real, Grabbits. I don't know how we made every tune something I listen to on the daily, but here we are. One of my favourite artists at the moment. While he's stepped away from his earlier electronic stuff, you can feel the foundations of it here along with showcasing his awesome vocals. It's so fun. The White Lotus Season 2. The season no one expected, and somehow better than the first? I personally prefer season 1, but this season goes above and beyond in satirising privileged white people, tightly focused and expertly executed. Neon White, the most unique FPS I've played in a long time. Platforming, speedrunning, a card game, hilariously on the nose cringe dialogue, lightning in the bottle epitomised. A game that makes you feel good about your skill rather than mad at your failure. RRR. While it's probably a bit long, as well as making you sound like a pirate, RRR is the most fun I've had with a movie for a while. Over the top action, amazing dance sequences, some pretty serious drama when it needs it, and gosh, I love a good movie about fighting back against the powers. Future Never, Daniel Johns. Future Never has a little bit of everything for me. That slower sad boy stuff, some rock out stuff, some dance. I only discovered him this year, but he's immediately at the top. We Are Still Here, a collection of intercut short films from Australia and New Zealand that showcases resistance to colonisation. The past, present, and even the future. A range of emotions, and something everyone needs to experience. Severance. When a sci-fi these days can be as unique as Severance is, that's an achievement in itself. There's a weird abstract backroom vibe this show emanates, and I can't get enough of it. Season 2 can't come soon enough. Better Call Saul Season 6. I felt bad not mentioning this show. While personally it never grabbed me as fast and hard as Breaking Bad did, the final season of Better Call Saul might be some of the best television in a while, if not ever. Some of the best acted and directed stuff I've seen all year. The Menu. There's something really clean about this movie. For whatever this dark comedy horror thing was trying to be, it nailed it. There wasn't really anything I didn't like. Just some things I enjoyed more. Great performances, jokes and commentary landed, and I'm gutted I missed seeing this in a theatre. Oh, also, this movie makes you crave cheeseburgers. Kawai, For Such a Time As This. Honestly, I just haven't finished this book yet, so I felt rather silly putting it anywhere. As a city-living coastie from Aotearoa, this novel felt written for me. Where The Fabelmans was a slower, more intimate story of the joys of filmmaking, Babylon is a bombastic film that explores the chaos and immortality of the medium. So fun. Very long. Where the end to this film could have come across as pretentious and cringe, I ended up getting rather emotional. Scorn is a fascinating game, and one that was so close to being on my favourites list. Its art design, presentation, and everything in between was just absolutely phenomenal. While simple, its gameplay was fittingly bizarre and ethereal. Just needed to be a bit beefier, I think. We've got to the top 10. 10 more. And then you guys can piss off back to the holes you all came from. And so can I. I don't know why I bothered to put this bit in here, so let's go. The Banshees of Inisherin. Every time people won't shut up about some slow drama that was the best film of the year, I hesitate, even if most of the time those people are right. That certainly was also the case here. I didn't know anything about this movie before I sat down, other than the cast, and wow was I in for a treat. This awkward drama had me laughing out loud at times and wincing at my sadness towards the characters a moment later. The dialogue is where this movie's strengths are, and I could just sit and listen to these characters talk forever. I won't say too much about the plot, just watch the movie. Roixop, Profound Mysteries 2 and 3. I wasn't sure if any music would make it to my top 10, but Roixop continue to just be the main thing that I listen to. If you're into electronic music in any capacity, it doesn't need to be straight dance. They've got such a diverse selection of tracks, and the 2 albums they released this year I think are my favourite stuff I've heard from them. When I listen to music, my first instinct is to look for atmosphere, and the world the song wants me to be transported into, and almost everything they put out takes me somewhere I've never been before. The Bear. The Bear caught me off guard completely, that's for sure. Most stressed I think I've ever been watching something since Uncut Gems. The bear turns absolute chaos into an art form, unlike anything I've seen. Real characters make this kitchen feel authentic, as does the attention to detail with everything these characters do. I never knew where this show was going, but I was completely transfixed the entire time. I'm incredibly excited to see where this show goes. Just thinking about it makes me hungry. Atlanta, Season 3 and 4. I kinda have to talk about both Seasons 3 and 4 of Atlanta as one because, well, both came out this year, and I'd argue they're as good as each other, as well as fitting together quite nicely. Atlanta ended beautifully, and I'm glad the last season went back to the roots of what the show is all about. That being said, the third season might be my favourite of the entire show, with its abstract presentation and short anecdotal episodes that make you think about racial concepts in a way you might not have before. Funny in all the right ways, meta in the best ways it can be, and just some all-round fun. Citizen Sleeper. One thing I love about finding a new indie game to play is just jumping in blind, figuring out what the game is about and what kind of game it even is. A sci-fi RPG that isn't so much about making decisions as it is about exploring this fascinating world and experiencing some wonderfully written stories and characters on a space station. Reflective and very intense. Each little moment still lingers in my head now. On top of that, a really unique gameplay mechanic in how you distribute your time and energy via a set of randomized dice. Your character and the entire premise is very depressing at times, but hope is the thing that brings this all together. Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. I'm so happy this movie exists. If the words adorably wholesome had a mascot, it'd be this film. A cutesy tale of love, loss, and being who you are. Marcel the Shell has me giggling one minute, bawling my eyes out the next. The mockumentary style is one of my favourites, even if it is overplayed sometimes, but here it adds so much to the presentation, and I don't think it would be as effective had it chosen another avenue. In the incredibly me move, the composer was how I heard about this film, and Disaster Piece sends it home, really polishing off one of my favourite films of 2022. 36th Street, T.R. Napa. While I regrettably didn't read much this year, I'm glad I picked this book up. I mean, it's cyberpunk through and through. Visceral, violent, beautiful. At its core, this story explores a woman's identity, both in this current world and being torn between two cultures. When sci-fi is done right, you're able to see the world in a new light. See yourself in a way you might not have thought possible, and was something I could not put down, even if it still took me a little while. Reservation Dogs Season 2. Reservation Dogs is the sort of show we need right now. As an aspiring Indigenous storyteller, a show like this is exactly what I need to keep my drive high. The kids we follow grow a lot in this latest season, and their shenanigans just get even more shenaniganier. This show reminds me a lot of Atlanta in some ways, but we'll see if this show gets as bonkers as that one. Its portrayal of its Native American subject matter feels genuine, fresh, and inspiring. If you're wanting something new to watch, this should be that thing. Norco. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for saying I admittedly still haven't played Disco Elysium yet. I'll get around to it. I swear. I promise. I will play it soon. Norco is my game of the year, an enthralling text-based RPG set in a dystopian America that feels all too real. I'm a sucker for a good aesthetic, and this game has it all. But with its genre, the writing stands out as an inspiration for other games like this. And if you missed it earlier, the score might be my favourite of the entire year as well. Dreary, intriguing, and introspective, a game I might only play once, but one I'll remember forever. Everything, everywhere, all, yeah, okay, well, we all knew it was going to be this. This is everyone's, it just is, right? I know this is the most basic answer now, but there's a reason for that. Everything Everywhere All at Once has everything I like in a movie. A fun, fast pace, wacky physical comedy that makes the most of its medium, solid action and fight choreography. Most importantly though, it has a massive heart and makes sure the entire concept revolves around it. This is the type of film that I would point to as being the reason I love films in the first place. I'm a bit pretentious with that, I know, but how can you not like this film? It isn't perfect, nothing is, but Everything Everywhere All at Once might come as close as a movie can get. Well, that's it. That's the end now. Go, you can go home. I don't have anything more to say to you. Cool if you see some more of my stuff this year. Otherwise, see you this time next year.